Okay, so this is just in Epstein's creepy medical cabal unmasked in DOJ files bombshell. This is, I'm gonna say, give you a warning, this is pretty disturbing, and you can only use your imagination what this would entail, but this has to do with the infamous sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. This is by Jack Revell. It came out on Saturday. It is a 4-minute read. This is Jeffrey Epstein pictured here in a still photo. Newly discovered image from millions of recently released Epstein files horrifically depicts a surgery being performed in the infamous sex trafficker's home. The image, which the New York Times first published, appears to show a young female lying on Epstein's dining room table receiving stitches in her head, reportedly from prominent New York City plastic surgeon Dr. Jess Ting. And you see it pictured here. An image, it shows the young woman receiving medical treatment. The scene is emblematic of a creepy medical cabal that the wealthy sex trafficker reportedly kept around him, some of whom were used to keep his girls sexually fit, quote unquote. Email conversations within the approximately 3 million files released by the Department of Justice show that Epstein had a close relationship with many elite doctors whom he relied on for private medical services. Files reveal that he manipulated the women he was having sex with, many of them young and from overseas, with access to private health care and a string of medical procedures like liposuction, mole removal, and pelvic exams as well. And so here is a still photo of Epstein with the now acting president-elect Donald J. Trump. So Donald Trump is mentioned in the Epstein files more than 35,000 times. So let me show you the still photo here. They were very close friends. So the financier kept medical practitioners on the books and available at all hours with lavish gifts and generous donations, with the New York Times alleging that some of the doctors bent or broke the ethical rules of their profession. So one of the doctors Epstein reportedly had a relationship with, Dr. Eva Dubin, founder of the breast cancer unit bearing her name at the Mount Sinai Hospital, whom Epstein dated throughout the 1980s. She is mentioned at least 1,500 times in the available files, was recommending doctors for him just months before he had died in jail in New York. So in communications contained within the files, Dubin can be seen telling Epstein that she has renowned reconstructive surgery professor Dr. Jess Ting on standby following a vehicle accident involving a Russian student on Epstein's private island of Little St. James. So this is Epstein pictured here, and I'm assuming that it was the island. So it's Epstein's island in the Caribbean. So redacted, fell off the ATV and needs stitches in her forehead and x-ray to ensure no concussion. Can you organize? Epstein wrote to Dubin in 2012. Okay, Jess Ting is standing by. Call me as soon as you land. I will go with you, Dubin responded. A medical ethicist told the Times that such reckless decision was breathtaking and clearly not in the patient's best interest. So there's a letter that is scripted here. It looks like it's been typed to Jeffrey Epstein from Eva Dubin, and it gives a date of 2012, the 10th of Saturday, and the time 6:39 and 44 seconds p.m. So it goes on to say that Dubin told the Times that she had provided medical referrals for friends, colleagues, and acquaintances throughout her career, that she had never witnessed, suspected, or had any knowledge of Mr. Epstein's criminal conduct. Later documents show that Dr. Ting advised a woman on a nose job and removed a cyst from Epstein's shoulder. So he reportedly visited Epstein's notorious island in 2012 and received $50,000 donation from the disgraced financier for his cancer research. Ting denies the photo depicts him and told the Times that the patients that he treated for Epstein were adults and that he had never had any knowledge of illegal or potentially illegal activities as well. So there's another letter that you can see here, and it was released, has Department of Justice on it, saying the email from Epstein claiming that the young Russian student with him had an accident on his island. So when reached for comment, a spokesperson for Mount Sinai Health System told the Daily Beast Jeffrey Epstein's actions are abhorrent, reprehensible, and stand in direct opposition to what Mount Sinai believes and stands for as an institution and medical professionals. So all patients who walk through their doors will always be treated with the highest level of care and respect. So we do not comment on the clinical care provided to individual patients. So since the release of the files, Mount Sinai has been carefully reviewing the information available to us. So we will continue to take any and all appropriate actions. So this is another, looks like a video of Epstein and different people he was involved in. So it says journalist E.J. Dixon, who has written about how Epstein's medical team used to keep women in his orbit ready to be used for his purpose, has said the late financier's medical knowledge has pronounced. So he had a tremendous, very expansive knowledge of sexual health, and he told Joanne Cole's The Daily Beast podcast there. So he knew quite a bit about women's sexual health, and he would cite it very frequently. So that knowledge, coupled with the medical staff around him, adds to the decidedly unsettling nature of the medical equipment found on Epstein's island. So images released by the House Oversight Committee in December show that Epstein had a makeshift dental studio set up on the Little St. James in a room adorned with weird male masks. So this was the dentist chair surrounded by masks in the room inside Epstein's Little St. James estate. So the Department of Justice has effectively ruled that with the latest release of files, it has fulfilled its obligations under Epstein's Transparency Act. President Donald Trump has claimed that the release exonerates him, he claims. But critics continue to allege that the government is withholding information about Epstein's sex trafficking operations and the individuals who all were involved. So I believe that is part the proportion of the larger portion of this article. However, allegedly people still would believe that someone this close to someone who was involved in such acts had to have been involved a little more deeper and know a little more than what they have allegedly claimed that they claim they're exonerating, claim they're not involved with. Might be more information that they were withholding, and so that's where all of the criticism is coming in at. there also might be other more individuals involved that we're unaware of. So this is a developing story.